Hello, today I'll be going over Week 1 Lab CyberSecurity pre-work. Before we go to challenges, we have to take care of some housekeeping. Create a security separate account, the instructions are given, and then install Burp proxy, all the instructions are given. After we set up everything, we can go to challenges, and let's look at the first one here, HTTP headers. Now it's asking us to go to facebook.com. What is the cache control header set to in the response? Now, cache control is used to specify directives for a caching mechanism in both requests and responses. And if we go to Facebook and let's update this, and let's go back to Burp. As you can see, it's getting updated here. And let's just take this one, go to response, headers. If you scroll down, you can see there's cache control. It says private, no cache, no store, most really validate. So what we have to do is just copy and paste it over here. And if you submit your answer, see we get the result key. All we have to do is copy this, paste it here, and submit the result key. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, HTTP methods. What is the HTTP method associated with the Facebook login request? Now, if we go back, the most common methods are get and post. And post is used to send data to a server to create or update a resource. And it is responsible for requests such as login, log out, sign in, or sign out. And since it's asking for a Facebook login request, we can just write post. That's the method. That's all. We don't have to look at Burp and investigate. So submit answer, check in. Okay, so we got the result key. Now just copy and paste it over here. And let's skip this one and go to query parameters. Okay, so now it says when deleting a status post in Facebook, what is the key name of the first query parameter in the URI? So we have a hint given here. Now, what's query parameter, first of all? Alright, these are just extensions of the URL that are used to help define specific content or actions based on the data being passed. Now, it'll be more clear if I go back to Facebook. Let's create a post. Hello world, and let's post this and delete it. All right. Now, if we go back to Burp, and you can see that there's update here, and it says delete. Now, if we carefully look at this URL, the first query parameter. Now, query parameter is everything. If you can look at this, all of this thing after the question mark here, these are all query parameter. And if we go back, it's asking for the key name of the first query parameter. Right after the question mark, we can see that it's identifier, the first query parameter, and we can just write it here. Submit answer. All right, so here we get the result key. Copy and paste it here, and let's move on to the next one. Okay, so what are insecure direct object references? So it's a really nice explanation given here, the lesson introduction. And let's go scroll down. It says, this is the hint. The result key to complete this lesson is stored in the administrator's profile. Now, this is a really nice hint. We have to keep this in mind. And we can see that there's a profile given here. So let's just refresh the profile here. And if we go back, you can see that it's updated here. Now, what we have to do is send it to repeater. Okay, so send this to repeater. Now, if we look at this one here, the username is equal to guest. Okay, and if we go back to separate and look at the hint, it says the result key to complete this lesson is stored in the administrator's profile. We have guest here. not administrator. So let's look at this first. We'll see what we get. Send, and our response is, you can clearly see, you can just investigate, just look at all of the things. Well, now if we change the username to admin, I've tried administrator as well, but I've already solved this challenge. So if we type admin and send this, we get something else. The response, it's, if we look closely and investigate the response, we can find the result key over here. This is actually the result key, and we can just do what we've been doing, copy and paste the result key here, and this will be solved. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, secure direct object reference. This is challenge 1. There's challenge 2 as well. Now, the result key for this challenge is stored in the private message for a user that is not listed below. So we're given some names here, and you can actually show this profile one by one, go back to burp and look at the proxy. What I like to do is actually show all the profiles all together, then go back to proxy to burp. It's easier for me. Alright, so as you can notice, there are some messages here as well. And let's go back to burp, and what I would like to do is send this to repeater. Okay, this time I'm going to do for all of them. Go to repeater, and if we look at this over here, user ID, we have an integer here, 9. And let's look at the first one here. This was from the last one. Let's delete that. Okay. Let's send this. And we can actually see Paul Borg's message, no message set. If we go back and check. Okay, so it's the same thing we see over here. And do the same thing for the other ones as well. We have Will's message. And you do the same thing for the other ones as well. Now, since I've already solved this challenge, I know that the user ID is somewhere between 1 and 11. So why don't I put 11 here, send it, and as you can see, it says result key is all of this. Okay, so we have the result key. All we have to do is copy and paste it over here, and let's move on to the next one. So challenge 2. Now this is similar to the previous one. It has the same idea, although there is a difference, and let's see what the difference is. Alright, so do the same thing that we did before. Show this profile, and there's actually a typo here. It should be Paul Borg. There's Joe Sullivan instead. Okay, and so this profile, since it's the same thing for the other 3, I'm not going to do it. And let's go back to burp proxy. Okay, these are the recent ones. Send to repeater, send to repeater. Now, we don't need these ones. These are, okay. Okay, if we look at the user ID for this one now, instead of an integer like the previous challenge, we have something that looks like a long encoded password. Okay, if you look at both of them. Now, let's go back to our guide. This is really helpful. And scroll down. Okay, so it says, if we read this, it says for the password should not, okay, encoded. So it is in fact encoded. And if we follow the instructions that are given here, it says click the decoder tab in burp, type your name in the first text box, and you can actually do that. go to decoder, and let's take this out actually. So you'll see something like this, and say if you type your name. Alright, let's try this. You see, it's something else is actually encoded here. If we pick something like MD2, get something like that. And let's look at, I'm going to say MD5. Okay. Alright, something like this. Now, let's go back to repeater here. I tried everything here. Decoder, these are all hash. Encoded as hash, these are all the hash. And I guessed it, and I tried most of them, and then I just guessed MD5. And what I did was, you can actually use an online tool, MD5 Decrypt. And if we go back to repeater, you can actually take this, copy it, paste it over here, and decrypt it. As you can see, this encoded password-like data is actually 2, the integer 2. So let's send this. Joe Sullivan's message, Joe Sullivan's user ID is integer 2. And we do the same thing for the other ones as well. Copy and paste it to this one, and then decrypt. You'll get some integers. Let's actually look at this one. Okay. Okay, so you see that there we have integer 3, and this is for Will Belly. Now I've tried this, and I know that the integer for the user ID is somewhere between 1 and 13. And if I go back and actually type 13 and encrypt this, I'll get something like this over here. So what you do is copy and paste it over here and send. Okay, so if you look at this, there's a hidden user's message. It says result key is, so we have the result key. Now we have to copy and paste it over here and submit it. That's all for today. And if you make sure you look at the guide. This is really helpful. And before you do all of this, make sure you follow the instructions, install what you have to, and create account. And that's all for today.